Welcome back to the world of Oscilio. Before we jump into it, be sure to hit that like button. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think is the best deck of the format? Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. If you are, thank you, appreciate you. We're trying to get to 1,500. And without further ado, let's talk about the best deck of the format, Oscilio, or as some like to call him, No Skillio. But contrary to that, I actually think it's a pretty skillful deck. I think you have so many lines, and Oscilio's ability to cycle a card is really interesting. Not exactly making him a 5 intellect hero, but kind of. And then we do have cards like Sigil of Brilliance, which can sometimes make it feel like he can have 6 or 7 intellect. Very high skill deck, very high skill ceiling. Gone in the Flash is a crazy card. I've seen Oscilio's kill from like 30, 31. This wizard is insane. I don't know if everybody will be playing him because, he's kind of hard to pilot. But I think you should definitely have him in mind when you're deck building. As we've seen even in the last format, a lot of people were playing Amulets of Echo. I think that card's definitely going to continue to see played in the inventory. The one thing that he has bringing him down is how many no blocks he has. So sometimes he doesn't really have a say in what he wants to do defensively. But I think it's a pretty good balancing factor, as well as his 36 HP. But definitely the best deck of the format. Number 2, we got Arakni Marionette. My personal favorite hero. Probably what I'm going to be playing in this format. I think it was pretty much the best deck last format, arguably, but I would argue so. Just like Oscilio, he has a pretty high kill range. I've seen Marionettes kill from 15, rare 20, but they can have some crazy turns, crazy amount of damage. The late game can be so daunting because of all the reactions they play. Sometimes you're going to win and get card advantage just because you're playing Assassin. So it's pretty good. You gotta keep a poker face, but it's so powerful. And also Chaos. Not only are you playing against Marionette, but there's 6 other agents of Chaos. I think the deck makes every game very unique, and the more skillful players can really make the best out of these different scenarios. And you also have to adapt to different scenarios. Sometimes rolling a trapdoor or even turning into a trapdoor using your mask can be pretty crazy. Number 2 definitely goes to Arakni Marionette. And he got a bunch of new Chaos cards. So I feel like there's even like a high roll version of Marionette. Now I think the more consistent, more competitive list won't run as many of the Chaos card. Personally, I think Hyperinflation is pretty good, but now there is that avenue to make a more crazy high roller with these new Chaos cards. Number 3, we got Kayo. Now I think Kayo is just a little bit below Marionette and Oscilio, not too far off. And I do think he has a pretty good Oscilio matchup, as well as can, really race Arakni, and has really a good fridge to be able to pivot turns, as well as playing some block cards that can give him value on blocking, kind of like the Clash cards, or even the amazing Flesh Bag. What about the legs? The OP legs. Kayo's just crazy. He is quote unquote easy to play, but you can tell when a more skillful player is playing him and just generates the most value out of all their cards. And then being able to also just have high roll potential with this deck just makes it definitely number 3. Not quite there like Arakni, definitely not quite like Oscilio, but pretty close to them. Number 4, we got Dash IO. Now, I think she's just a little bit below Kayo. Could arguably set to be number 3 and Kayo number 4. So, really, they're pretty close. But she has a great Oscilio matchup. Null Time Zone is a pretty crazy card. She has a ton of high roll potentials. seeing a new card at the top of your deck kind of lets her play like a 5 intellect hero, especially when you can get the item. And she has a pretty high floor. In general, when you're playing against a Dio, you kind of have to change your game plan. So I'm either going to fatigue her or raise her. And raising her is kind of hard. So most decks just have to go for just fatigue. So she has a pretty high floor in general. But just like Oscilio, and even just like Kayo, she has some no block cards. So that can be a little bit of a hindrance sometimes. Number 5, Verdance. Now, Verdance just got a new card, and it kind of reads like a Yu-Gi-Oh card. You know, it puts the card on top of the deck, so not just like Yu-Gi-Oh where it goes to your hand. But being able to search out Ring of Roses, which was previously a one of, so this kind of being like 3 additional copies, or in some cases being able to reach Channel the Millennium Tree and put it on top of your deck can be game closing. I think it's a pretty cool new card. Also, Verdance is just one of the best mid-range decks. Now, her ability to play on the arcane axis plays into that. Sometimes you just can't trade with her favorably. So, I think it's a huge part of why she's so strong. And she did lose Rootbound Carapace, but she's still pretty defensive. Of course, she has the Storm Striders. You know, you're essentially kind of playing like at 31 life, or however you want to think about it. Storm Striders are a hell of a card. Don't think she's going to be the most represented, but I think you'll see some Verdance players, and I do think you should take her into account. I think she's still pretty real. Now, we got some honorable mentions. It's going to say the Draconic Heroes plus Ninja, so Katsu. I think all of the Draconic Heroes have pretty good damage value potential. Maybe not as good as Dio or Kayo, but not too far off. But I don't know if we'll really see them that much. But I think altogether you should take these decks into consideration. Fi, Syndra, Fang, Katsu. You know, they could take an event. I think Katsu took to top 8 at a calling not too long ago. You know, especially with these dedicated players. You'll definitely see some Fi, some Katsus. Fang just got the new helmet. Definitely helps against some of its tougher matchups like Verdance. Last, honorable mentions, Gravy Bones. With Oscilio being the pillar of the metagame, I don't think Gravy Bones is going to be as relevant. I'm sure there'll still be a few here and there floating around. And Pleiades, I think the Fatigue Pleiades list can still do some pretty powerful things, especially into the metagame. I think the Oscilio matchup is tricky, but could potentially be figured out. I think the Fatigue Pleiades is probably the best thing we've seen in Guardian in quite a while, but I don't know, Oscilio can just kill you in certain turns and it's just like crazy. Let me know what you guys think down below. What's the best deck of the format? Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Peace.